Hello everybody. To further continue, we are going to talk about sensors and actuators used in diagnostics. Here we go. In vehicle diagnostics and onboard diagnostics, sensors and actuators they play a critical role in in monitoring and controlling the vehicle systems. So the onboard diagnostics they not only monitor, they even control the vehicle systems. They form the backbone of vehicles feedback loop, enabling fault detection, performance monitoring, and safe operation. Now, talking about introduction to sensors and actuators in OBD, sensors measure various physical and chemical properties, example temperature, pressure, position, speed, and convert them into electrical signals. And when it comes to actuators, well, again, this is common knowledge. They receive the control commands for ECU to perform actions. They actually execute. Okay, actuators are the actual executing components, or they perform the actions. For example, adjusting fuel injection, opening valves. So this is the role of actuators. In onboard diagnostics, these components are continuously monitored for abnormalities or failures, which can trigger a diagnostic trouble code and illuminate the malfunction indicator lamp. Now, let's have a brief list of the various key sensors used in vehicle diagnostics. Okay, for example, in the powertrain sensors, in the powertrain vertical, what are all the various sensors, what are their functions, and what are their diagnostic roles. Okay, let's see in this below table. First is oxygen sensor, measures oxygen in exhaust gases. It detects fuel mixture anomalies. Second is mass airflow sensor, measures incoming air mass, detects airflow disruptions and engine load. And when it comes to manifold absolute pressure, which is acronymed as MAP sensor, it measures air pressure inside in air intake manifold, helps calculate air density and fuel delivery. When it comes to throttle position sensor, detects the throttle valve angle used in acceleration and fuel control. Okay, this throttle position sensor is extremely important. Now talking about the engine coolant temperature, ECT sensor, it measures the coolant temperature, impacts fuel injection ignition timing. Now talking about the crankshaft position sensor. Talking about the crankshaft position sensor, it detects the crankshaft position and speed. Now this is extremely important in fuel injection timing and fuel injection rating. Okay. Now coming to the camshaft position sensor. Identifies camshaft rotation, helps synchronize injector and spark timing. And coming to the knock sensor, it detects engine knock, ping, and adjusts ignition timing to prevent damage. Okay, so these are the main sensors used in powertrain. Now let's talk about some sensors which are used in other verticals, other divisions. For example, emission and exhaust system sensors. Exhaust gas recirculation sensor, it measures the EGR valve position and it ensures emission control effectiveness. Now talking about NOx sensor, measures the nitrogen oxides in exhaust and critical in diesel vehicles for emission control. And when it comes to particulate matter, it detects soot in diesel exhaust. Okay, it detects soot in diesel exhaust and it is used in diesel particulate filter systems. Now talking about the transmission and drivetrain sensors. Okay, now this is transmission and drivetrain is a very important part of the or important division of the automobile. Now what are the sensors that are used in this vertical? First is vehicle speed sensor, which is acronymed VSS, and the function is measures wheel vehicle speed used for transmission control and anti-lock braking system. Now talking about the transmission fluid temperature sensor, it monitors transmission fluid, prevents overheating or poor shifting. And second is gear position sensor. It detects the selected gear used for gear shift strategies and diagnostics. All right, so these three sensors they form the actual three legs of the transmission and the drivetrain sensors. Now talking about the safety and miscellaneous sensors, first is the brake pedal sensor whose function is detecting the brake application and it helps with the anti-lock brake sensor and the stability control. Talking about the steering angle sensor, it monitors the steering input used in electronic stability control and lane assist systems. Now talking about battery voltage sensor, It monitors battery status, diagnoses alternator and battery battery faults. All right, this battery voltage sensor is extremely important when it comes to the sensors which are used in electric vehicles. Now, we just saw the list of sensors. Now, we will touch upon the various types of actuators that are being used in vehicle diagnostics. Now, talking about the actuators used in engine and fuel system actuators. The first fuel injector is deliver fuel into combustion chamber. Engine idle control valve, it regulates engine idle speed. EGR valve recirculates exhaust gases to the intake. And throttle actuator, it controls throttle electronically. So coming to the ignition coil, provides high voltage spark to spark plugs. Well, these are all the various types of actuators, and I'm very positive that anybody who has a decent knowledge of IC engines already know these actuators and their respective functions. Now, talking about the transmission and drivetrain actuators, shift solenoids. The first actuator in transmission is shift solenoid. It controls the hydraulic circuits for gear shifts. Now, talking about the torque converter clutch solenoid, it engages, disengages torque converter clutch. It also talks about the transmission valve body actuators, and it manage fluid flow inside the transmission. Now, talking about emission control actuators, and their respective functions. Secondary air pump, it introduces air into exhaust for better emissions. It purges valve, controls fuel vapor purge from charcoal canister. Now this is extremely important valve which is attached or which is usually fixed in very close proximity with the fuel tank. Now talking about the integration of ECU and the OBD system. All sensors and actuators are connected to one or more ECUs. The OBD system monitors sensor signal ranges, actuator response, and logical consistency between subsystems. Okay, so this three three parts, sensor signal, actuator response, and logical consistency, they form the important backbone of OBD system. Okay, now the diagnostic scenarios and sensor actuator involvement. The first is feature and benefit. Now talking about the feature, real-time monitoring enables live diagnostic data, fault detection, pinpoint specific faulty component, system feedback ensures closed loop operation, and OBD compliance supports government regulations, including OBD-II and EOBD. Now talking about the summary, importance in diagnostics. Now, what are the importance in diagnostics? First, in this table, we are going to talk about the fault, the involved sensors, and the possible actuator response. The first is the poor fuel economy. In the poor, because of the, what is when the fault is poor fuel economy, the involved sensors may be oxygen sensors or manifold manifold airflow sensor, and the possible solution is to adjust the fuel injectors. Next is engine misfire. When it comes to engine misfire, it can be crankshaft or camshaft sensors, that can be retard injection, ignition, or disable injector. Okay, sometimes the vehicle will not start. Then there can be n number of reasons. It may be TPS or CKP or CMP sensors. And the possible actuator response is prevent fuel injection or spark. Now coming to the emission failure, what is the emission? If at all emission is not meeting the emission norms, then there can be lot of sensors involved like oxygen sensors, NOx sensors, and EGR sensors. And usually, what does the if at all any of these sensors fail, the usual actuator response is disables the EGR, enrich the lean mixture, and also it can show the malfunction indicator lamp on the dashboard. So I request all of you to see this drawing, which will clearly give you an idea about the various sensors and the corresponding actuators. Okay, on the left side of this diagnostic module. You can see all the various types of sensors like throttle position sensor, coolant temperature sensor, exhaust gas, crankshaft, camshaft, detonation, and air conditioning. And also, of course, the module is powered by the battery. And on the right side, you see the various actuators, including idle air control valve, ignition coil, spark plug, solenoid valve, injectors, gas cleaners, air conditioning control, CNG bottle. So these are all the various types of actuators that are actuated by the ECU. Okay, so hope all of you got a decent idea about the various types of sensors and actuators that are used in onboard diagnostic systems. Thank you.